Maccabees.
And they was kicking butt.
It was under the
That
Greek
would
Rome.
explain why all of a sudden these Jews went to war and was getting their butt whooped. Because
when did that happen?
That happened around, I want to say, there was a 400-year gap between Malachi and Matthew. So in between that 400-year gap, which would be 0 and 400 years prior to that, you had a Jewish group of people, a Jewish army that fought and was successful against the invaders, which I believe it was either the Persians or the Greeks. But they end up fighting against the Maccabees, and during that time, this word conversion, oh man, the Jews said, we want to be Greek. We don't even want to be Jews anymore.
All right, so follow the logic. If they were expelled, right, a major expulsion when the temple fell, and the final expulsion with the Bar Kokhba revolt in around 100 or so AD, you know, somewhere around in there. If they were already, if you have documented evidence of 2 full cities of non-Israelites being converted in at least 150 years before the temple got destroyed in AD, the people who were expelled in 70 AD is documented that they were not all bloodline Israelites. So whoever went into West Africa, how do you determine whether it was the converse or not in the first place? If the bloodline was already
now we about to get into the 12 tribes, because when you say Jew in the 70 AD, you're only talking about 2 to 2.5 tribes. When I say half, because half of the Levites was there. You had Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. You had 9 other tribes that already have been taken and implemented all over the world to the 4 corners of the earth. So when a person say, I'm part of Israel, he could be 100% correct if he knows his bloodline, which I highly doubt any of them know. But they had only, during the time of the Roman and Jews and the Greeks, you only had 3 tribes that was being documented at the time. But you had other tribes that was still keeping Torah that was in Africa long before Jesus Christ's time.
So we're in agreement then, at least for now. Let's go step by step. So we're in agreement that whoever left when the temple was destroyed, that wasn't just 1 million Jews. Are we in agreement with that?
That wasn't just 1 million Jews.
That wasn't just Jews. It was people being called Jews, but they had no bloodline ties to an actual Israelite nation.
Oh no, it was still Jerusalem. I still believe that a lot of them were still bloodline. But I do believe, yes, you're right. It was another large group of people that was converts.
So we can't say that if we document because a lot of the migration patterns that people go off of is the ones that left around 70 AD.
Exactly. Yes.
That's the migration pattern that people are tracing to West Africa.
But what I've been researching is before 70 AD. The Northern Kingdom, because there was a group of people that was taken captive by many. The Persians, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, they were actually taken captive. That story didn't get documented. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi got documented.
So are we now saying, so now we're agreeing that those people who we say left from Jerusalem around 70 AD that went to West Africa, we throwing that out now. And now we're saying that it was the Northern Kingdom that was dispersed amongst the Babylonians and whatnot. Those are the ones that went to West Africa, because we came from West Africa, and I thought we was focusing on us initially.
Yes,
because we talking about us.
Yes,
we got here from West Africa, and the migration pattern of West Africa was always claimed to have come from that time period with the Romans and whatnot. Now, if we're gonna go to the Babylonians and whatnot, are we now saying that the individuals that was held captive in Babylon made it to West Africa?
No, I'm saying that migration pattern stopped after the migration. After the enslavement, we don't hear nothing else about what they were doing. Up into today's time, for an example, Coy put me on to an African rabbi. And this African rabbi say we trace our culture, our lineage, all the way back to long before Jesus Christ. We've been doing Torah long before Jesus Christ. So I'm really seeing exactly where you're coming from, because you made a great point. When you got the Ashkenazi Jews that screaming, I'm Jew, I'm Jew, I'm Jew. By right, I can't argue with them because they're converts of Judaism. So yeah. But when you talk about bloodline, no, I don't believe that they can be considered a bloodline, because like you said, you had a whole 2 towns that got converted overnight, but they were still keeping Torah. So with them keeping Torah, I would have to say, well, yeah, these brothers are keeping Torah.
You said it's a whole town got all
The Edomites. He's talking about the Edomites with Rome.
And okay, you want to know the problem with that?
Uh-huh.
Let's say I haven't looked into all of it. That's not my level of what I study
Exactly.
most often. But what was the name of the individuals in Ethiopia that said that they was Jews?
Colossians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Colossians.
Now you have we are sitting over here and we're talking about this topic, but when those individuals felt like they were being oppressed in their land, they saw enough validity in the individuals that's in Israel right now to beseech them to help them escape from that captivity or that persecution, to spearhead them to the land of Israel. Why would they allow them to help them and go to Israel to be with them if they were so they are the fake Jews? They not legit. The individuals that was claiming to be Jews
the
with
real
them,
ones,
they didn't say that they wasn't legit.
You saying that the real ones went to the fake ones to ask for help to?
Yeah, I'm saying who we are considering the real ones, the ones in Ethiopia, considered the ones that we're considering the fake ones, the real
The
ones
converts
as well.
Okay, so the converts are the ones that's in Israel right now, and you're saying that the Ethiopians are the bloodline ones. So the bloodline went to the converts to ask for help.
As if they weren't converts.
As if they weren't.
Like,
Okay,
why didn't they, like, I never seen documentation of the Jews in Ethiopia. They were saying that they were one of the tribes, but I haven't seen them saying that the other ones that's in Israel now are not one of the tribes.
Watch, let me show you something. There's racism when it comes to that. The Falashas, their oral history tells them that they were descendants of Menelik, which was the son supposedly of Queen Sheba and Solomon. You know, Solomon had all kind of wives, all kind of women. So it's not hard to believe that he might have impregnated the Queen of Sheba. So supposedly they descend from Solomon's line. Now, what was Solomon? What tribe was he?
He was from the tribe of Judah.
He was from the tribe of Judah. So they call themselves Jews. But the Israelis over there call them Beta Israel, the house of Israel. They did that in a wait, you ain't Jews. But according to their tradition, yes they are. Because they come from Solomon. They come from a dude who come from Solomon's loins. We not Israelites. They said no, they're most likely the tribe of Dan. That's what the Israelis consider the Falashas. They're most likely
they consider them from the tribe of Dan.
Now, why would you say that if my tradition? Because we both can't be Jews because we're so opposite of the spectrum. No, y'all the tribe of Dan. See, I was reading that this morning. I just threw that in there. You're saying why did they go to the fake ones? You know, but what I'm saying, the fake ones recognize what they were labeling themselves and said, nah, y'all are not Jews. Y'all actually didn't come from Solomon. Y'all most likely Dan. We the Jews.
Now, don't Ghana and Gad
say something like Dan?
Ain't they in the same bed with one another? In other words, is it when you break down that word Ghana, it actually translates to the tribe of Gad? A rabbi brought that up, and I haven't looked into it, but there are people in Africa that gets no attention whatsoever, because anytime you use the word Israel or Jew, it's going to only point to the top hat and curly hair. They would never put a camera in Africa saying that these are Jews. Never. They haven't. But rabbis are now, 2019, saying, yeah, without question, them guys check out in Africa, groups of people in Africa, They check out on bloodline. They check out on DNA. They check out on culture. They check out on tradition.
Whatever, the priest gene.
They check out on the priest because now the Levites
have more of the coherent gene in their blood.
The Levites, they kept up with their bloodline. They never.
You wasn't supposed to have a wife outside of.
They wasn't never supposed to.
Wait, they got the DNA of who?
I don't know which Africans, if it's the Ethiopians or whichever one.
The Ethiopians got.
They have more of the priest gene. I don't know. It's some gene they call a priest gene, and they say they have it, and the Ashkenazis over there do not have it.
Yeah, they're saying that.
Philosophy Jews.
They're saying that they're more related to the ancient DNA of Israel than the Ashkenazis.
So who are they comparing it to?
I got to get you that research. I got to get you that research.
And how would that work? If the brother just told me that they are Judah, but they got Levi blood. They Levi.
But when he say 2.5 tribes, he said half of Levi stayed with the southern kingdom, because everybody had to have priests. You know what I'm saying? So half it was Judah, Benjamin, half of Levi in the southern kingdom. So it makes sense that some of the Levites were there.
Not necessarily, because you said that they was Judah because of Solomon. Solomon was before the split, so they would not have been a part of the split kingdom if they was a descendant of Solomon.
You're right.
So that don't.
They sent a high priest with Menelik. I forgot that part of the story. With Menelik, supposedly was one of each. They were his judges. So this is according to their oral tradition. He took one of every of the tribesmen to be their high judges, whatever, and one Levite was the high priest. I don't know his name, Azariah, whatever. So there was a priest that came with them when they founded their city, whatever city they founded, that's now Falasha land or whatever. So I should have brought the book, man, but a priest did come with them.
When you're dealing with the tribe of Levi, you got your house of Israel and your house of Judah. They had that split. So you had two. You really had 2 and 9 that didn't associate with each other, and you had a Levi tribe that was going between both of them. So when that split happened, some Levites went to the southern kingdom, some Levites went to the northern kingdom. But no matter which kingdom they went to, one house, which was considered the house of Israel or the house of Judah, had priests that was mingling with that particular location. So you always had a priest in the house of Judah, and you always had a priest in the house of Levi. Now these priests was the main one in charge of what we see in Africa, sacrifices, and what you see with the temple, sacrifices. Some things that was going on.
Go ahead. I don't want to cut out. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's certain things that only priests were able to do. Now they got traditions and cultures that shows that they had an actual priest in different lands. And these priests were performing the duties of a priest in different lands, not only in Israel. Now, were they Levites? I don't know. But they was keeping with, that's how people were able to identify that these people, wait a second, why y'all doing that? Oh, that looked like Leviticus that they over there doing. That looked like they doing something that we do in Deuteronomy. So they was able to identify them, and then they went and actually started mingling with them. And these people were saying, yeah, we've been doing this since great-grandpa.
So they were converts in Ethiopia.
No, the Ethiopians are saying that we never was a.
So,
we left.
So
okay,
Solomon have a baby with the Queen of Sheba. So the story goes. Baby. And now we find out that a priest, and it could have happened, a priest had a baby with somebody as well.
Yeah.
So from those two people.
Supposedly it went like this. I didn't mean to cut you off, brother. Supposedly the baby boy was with his mama until it was time to go send him back to his daddy to learn everything. Then when his daddy sent him back home, he sent him to found the town or whatever, like to be a king or something. It's
converted people. He couldn't have been a progenitor. How can Solomon's son be the progenitor of the large group of people is what I'm saying. If it's already people in this area and you have one person come in, now that king may have a bloodline tie, or that royal family may have a bloodline tie because Solomon came there.
Yeah.
But all of the people cannot now be descendants of Solomon at this point.
No. Absolutely
So
not.
these philosopher Jews, even them, would have to be converts as well. They would have to
Converts.
be.
Or at least a
There's
mixed
a
multitude,
convert make
you know.
an Israelite,
That's what I'm saying. How,
Doesn't
they
make
can't be bloodline.
Yeah.
How did that bloodline proliferate like that?
That's a good question.
Think about this. If we know for sure, Josephus said that millions of Africans, millions of Jews went into Africa. We know there was already millions of native Africans. But if just 1 million people, if he said millions, I don't know what he meant by millions. If he meant 10 million, let's say one of those 10 million were actual bloodline Jews. Over time, shouldn't that 1 million have turned into, especially if they were spread out everywhere, shouldn't they have turned into something greater, a greater number? You know what I'm saying?
What if you already got 1 million people in the area where 10,000 people went to? Why would we automatically assume that 10,000 genetic base was so strong that they eventually dominated everybody that was already there? Isn't it more likely that they would get swallowed up in the genetic pool and they would no longer be the Israelites that came in? They would now be the tribe that they went into.
They couldn't get swallowed up in the genetic pool, but that culture can get swallowed up because if an Israelite or a real Jew man went over there and started mixing and
Those
mingling.
million, we already established that million that left, they weren't even all Jews to begin with.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? So if you have
my point was-
5,000 people that can say my bloodline, I'm actually Jew,
I'm Jewish.
and I go into a land where it's 200,000 native-born Africans.
Yes.
1,000 years later, logic would tell me that 5,000 has become the 200,000, not the 200,000 has become the 5,000.
Well, you wouldn't be
Look at
able
the
to
story
separate
of
the
Egypt.
two because
Joseph in Egypt.
the man is still producing his people. So you will still have a actual bloodline in that 2,000, no matter how you shake it. Because if he's, for an example, if an Hispanic come over here in America and he's mixing and mingling with a bunch of European Americans, no matter what, if he has sex with 100 white girls, that bloodline, the Hispanic blood, this Mexican bloodline is still going to be populated.
It might be watered
Hold
down.
on. You look like you got something you need to say, man.
Yes, sir.
What's up?
Yeah, you can get in.
I'm just listening.
Huh? So?
Umar is
Okay, do y'all believe in the text, right? You base it off of the text, okay? So the 12 tribes came from Jacob.
the New Testament only speaks about 3.
Wait a minute though, flow with me. Just
No,
walk with
okay.
me for a
I
second.
understand,
The 12 tribes came from Jacob,
Yes.
right? Jacob and his family went into Egypt,
Yes.
right? At 70 people.
Yes.
And 70.
Yeah.
know
70
that.
people.
Very
It was
small
only
amount.
70 people that went in. And I don't see.
Was it 70 people? Was it 70 men?
It said 70 souls.
Souls.
Souls. It said souls.
It said 70 souls. So
It
and
would have
then-
distinguished between men too.
And now I'm not locked into the text, but I just want to see how y'all rectify it. The text say when Moses led them out, it was a mixed multitude that came out.
Yes. That's mixed multitude.
Okay, so this is what I want to jump into next. So before you even get to David, before you get to Solomon, before you get to Samson,
let's start with
before
Moses.
you get to Samuel,
Yeah.
at Moses' time, they wasn't even all bloodline Jews.
They couldn't have been. They just come out of slavery.
Yeah.
So
I see what you're saying.
you get my logic.
Yes,
But
sir.
wait a
Just
second,
like
hold
us
on,
here
hold
in
on.
So
America.
even
no,
if,
let's
wait a
think
minute,
about that.
wait, slow down.
Okay.
So the people if the nation split, and before they were even a nation, they were already converts in there because it was a mixed multitude by the story that came out of Egypt.
Yes.
Then even if you tell me now that we already dealt with the southern tribe being converts with the Roman war and all of that, now I'm saying the northern tribe, even before they went into Babylon, before it was Solomon, before King David founded the kingdom, before the first King Saul, they were already converts. The bloodline was no longer pure at that point anyway.
We trying to hear the word.
Nah, you
That's all
good.
right.
You good. So if the bloodline was already if the bloodline Israelite ideal was already gone at the time of Moses, what are we saying about now?
Man, my brother brings up a great point, but I will have to disagree with it being gone.
Not gone, but indistinguishable.
Indistinguishable, yes. It was a mixed multitude at the bottom of the.
Watch this. Who was mixed? Where were they at? Who could they have mixed with? They could have only mixed with one people, right? Or did the Egyptians have a multitude of slaves in them with them? I think it was just the Hebrews and the Egyptians at the time. Is that right or is that not right?
Well,
From my
according to the text, according to the text, well,
According to the text.
it don't specifically say, but it does say a mixed multitude came out. So we know for a fact everybody that came out with Moses was not a descendant of Jacob.
Exactly. I 100% agree
And now
with
you
you.
gotta think about the curses. You know, so you got a mixed group of people.
Yeah.
Who did the curses apply to? You know, now it's looking like the converts. It's more converts than it is actual blood. You know, actual bloodline. So
Now let's go back to Moses. Moses comes out. Moses.
Man, I just thought. Hold on, I'm sorry to cut y'all, brother. A mixed multitude did come out of Egypt. Only 2 of the men of that mixed multitude made it to the promised land. So now we start back over again with another bloodline. I just thought about that. You see what I'm saying? All these thousands of people came out of Egypt mixed.
They all died off.
Only Joshua, the son of Nun, and who else? Only 2 men of that survived. You know what I'm saying? Of that 40-year.
They descendants made it.
let me get.
It was the older
Yeah, the
generation
children.
that died
The
off, but
descendants.
their
You're right.
children,
The
went
mixed
in
children
with
was
Joshua.
still there.
Yeah. Let me
Right,
ask this
that's right.
though. So the ones that came out of Egypt, is that the ones, the mixed multitude, is that the one that you saying was enslaved or got the curse after that, or you know?
And that's a good question. Was the mixed multitude in slavery with the Egyptians?
And then
or did
what-
they just leave when they like, oh man?
And then
Nah,
you know,
don't.
when you got a mixed multitude, you know, coming out of Egypt and supposedly going into slavery, was there other Africans enslaved with them? You know, and then, I mean, and now here we are here. Some people calling themselves Israelites, but I mean, are they? You got
Okay.
a mixed, you got a mixed multitude
Mixed multitude.
and Africans on the boat. That's
Yeah.
pretty watered down, man.
Now, I see exactly where you're coming from, and everybody's making a great point. I would say Moses recognized who his brothers were. Moses said, an Egyptian is beating and killing my Hebrew brother. So he recognized who his people was even in Egypt. And then from there, of course, I believe in the text of the book of Exodus, they had certain things happening. Now, you know, we've seen all these Moses movies, and it may not be a correct depiction of exactly how these particular plagues happened. But I would say that once they saw all of this stuff going down, they decided to get up out of there too. So I wouldn't say that it was just all necessarily slaves that left. I would say it was some Egyptians, without a shadow of a doubt, that left with
We don't
the.
hear about a mixed multitude until after the Exodus. That would make the most sense because we don't hear, according to the text. I don't know what the stone walls say. The East Coast people, were they enslaved with other people? I don't think so. I think the text said that it was just the Hebrews, because they made it hard on the Hebrews. They said y'all gonna build bricks without tar pitch now.
Yeah, so they identified who these particular people were. It was very well known who they were. And when they left, it was a mixed multitude of strangers and of Israel. But you have to say the people that left was the nation of Israel. That's why I have never got a hard on for people that saying I'm a bloodline descendant, because like Matt said, your bloodline at the bottom of the mountain was a mixed multitude. How could you possibly say that you are a bloodline descendant? Because if you trace yourself all the way back to the quote-unquote Mount Sinai, that wasn't a pure 100% 600,000 people. we know without a shadow of a doubt, based on the text and the text alone, that those descendants came from a group of mixed multitude people. They didn't come from bloodline, 100% bloodline Israel, but 100% bloodline Israel was in that mixed multitude. So I would say that Israel is Egyptian and Egyptians are Israel. I can't just, that's like saying Africans are not, Africans are Americans.
Y'all mind about listening to y'all.
Absolutely.
Y'all making a lot of sense.
When you have a group of people that been enslaved from Africa over here for, you know, a couple of 100 years, 300-400 years, how you gonna sit back and say that you know where a pure bloodline come from? You just know that, you know, you're part of a mixed multitude now. No one can actually 100% say, but look, here's my piece of paper, I'm 100%. Now we can come close. We're getting better and better at it. Our technology is advancing us closer to that. But we don't know where we came from. We literally just in a mixed multitude because America is a melting pot. And I believe the bottom of that mountain was also a melting pot.
So can we agree that even if you had people in West Africa considering themselves Jews, is no way to say that they had a bloodline relationship with somebody named Jacob?
Yeah, I don't think there's no possible way they can say they had a bloodline relationship with somebody named Jacob.
And we could kind of flow into this, and we know that it was like it's almost like we're taking away the heritage of the African nations that lost their mothers, brothers, sisters.
That's a good point.
Aunties.
That wasn't anything to have anything to do with Jews.
That didn't have nothing to do with Israelite culture, and if they did, it was by conversion by someone who didn't have anything to do with actual Israelite bloodline. Because from the earliest point, from the minute, if the story is correct, from the minute that 70 people went into Egypt,
they became
the
a mixed
bloodline
multitude.
it's no way that it anywhere after that can you tell me the bloodline is
But you have to trace yourself back to those 70 people, which is almost impossible.
Yeah.
But I will say this.
So does that mean that there are no bloodline Jews? I mean,
If it is, it's really small.
Oh yeah, it's a bloodline Jew because the bloodline don't go away.
It might thin out.
It don't go away because that's like saying we go to war with the Japanese. As long as Japanese is over here having sex, the bloodline is gonna continue no matter what. But yeah, we may do away with the Japanese culture and we may do away with a state, but the bloodline don't go away unless you actually kill every single Japanese.
So is that,
no, go ahead.
okay, let me ask this. Which one, who was subjected to the curses? Was it the 70 people that went in?
No, I think it's the
people
nation.
came out.
The nation. The nation that actually got these
Ask
rules.
yourself this: who do they say wrote that?
They say Moses.
After they came out.
After they came out.
So it
yeah.
had to be the group of people that
The
came
70
out.
people.
Yeah, that came out.
So now, I mean, you got we still got to go back to when they came out of Egypt and got enslaved. It was really watered down.
Wait,
after that.
But that's where they were birthed at. So they were birthed in Egypt, and then immediately walked this. You know, it's almost a watered down nation to begin with. You see what I'm saying?
Okay,
Yeah.
I want to kind of go outside of the text for a little bit because you referenced the Hyksos. Do y'all think that the Hyksos are the Israelites? We'll go there
Based
first.
on my research.
Be careful. I'm
Based
just
on
saying,
my
be careful.
research,
Be real careful, man.
I want to
because
say that those was a group of people that came and they were called shepherds.
But were they
But they
these
weren't.
Israelites?
I don't think
gotta
I
go
don't-
there.
You starting off with 70 people. You can't call 70 people a culture or a group.
So these
I
Hyksos-
believe that the nation of Israel was established at Mount Sinai.
So these Hyksos were not the Israelites.
I think there was a group of people before the Israelites that became the Israelites.
So when do you? Yeah. go
Who
ahead.
are the Israelites? Because before this whole conversation, y'all never really gave the value point of whether these so-called Israelites or Hebrew even. I understand you get the history out of it, but forms like DNA and involvement, they started nowhere. It's just a mythical story that's just been legalized, or I'm gonna say politics standpoint of a group of people who now black people in America proclaim to be, but really not.
Well, why you call yourself an American? You live under American rule, under American law.
I don't call myself an American.
Well, I mean, you're American legally. Legally, we all Americans based on our laws, our culture, where we stay.
Okay.
Now, granted, you may be, we all consider ourselves not Americans, but legally we're Americans, and I believe that's how Israel started. They came out with a code. This is the code we're going to live by, and if you want to live by this code...
So if you saying that means basically it was never a bloodline. It was just
absolutely.
a tradition.
It had to be a
It was just a
bloodline.
tradition
that
and a
makes
culture
sense.
that was intervened with different cultures.
That's why
They
you
took
can
out
convert
from
to it.
different other cultures
That's why
that
you can
came
convert
together. That's it. That's all it was.
If we go with that route, we have to say that every single culture is the same exact route.
Only